for those. I'm going to record both. And so, because people will have different questions, I'm sure, at both, and the conversation will change. And so we have Brett. So I want to first do some introductions. I'm Chris Dernier, and I think I know all of you, which is kind of fun. And I am your Synod champion. New title. Each cycle of the ELCA youth gathering, they change things up. No two ELCA youth gatherings are the same. Welcome, Pastor Julie, you're connecting. In previous cycles, there used to be a synod gathering coordinator. I wore that hat before. And then there was a synod day director. And they kind of converged those two, and now we're called champions. And I don't know if they just sort of made that title to make us feel better for giving us more work to do. Probably. They like to play the song "We Are the Champions" by Queen to us to like try to pump us up during our meetings. But I am excited about the cycle of the gathering. I believe that each cycle of the gathering, they make some intentional changes to improve things, to make them listen to feedback from the gatherings before, and no two gatherings are the same. So even if you've been to every gathering since San Antonio in '88, or if this is your first ELCA youth gathering ever, there'll be some good information for you today. So I kind of want to go around the horn and say your name, your context, and if this is your first ELCA youth gathering, and if it is not your first ELCA gathering, maybe share a highlight from one of your ELCA gatherings that you attended either as an adult leader or as a participant. So again, I'm Chris Dernier, and I get to be the Synod's Director of Communications, Events, and Youth Ministry. And again, I'm your Synod champion. I love the ELCA youth gathering, and I got to go to New Orleans when I was in high school. And I just remember walking into the dome and experiencing and realizing that there were youth from around the country that had faith like me, and just how powerful it was to experience that. I still get goosebumps thinking about that. And so I'm gonna call on the next person, and so then when you go, you call on somebody else. So I'm gonna call on Pastor Kate.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kate Garricky, and I serve two churches, Salem and Lisney Lutheran churches in Hitterdal and Holly, Minnesota. One of these churches, Salem, has a history of going to the ELCA youth gathering every 3 years when it comes up. But I personally have never been, either as an attendee or as a leader. So this will be my my first year going, which I'm excited for. And I will invite Pastor Julie next.
Hi, everyone. I am Pastor Julie, and I serve, like Kate, a 2-point parish, Fuku and Foxhome. All of our youth are in Foxhome, and we're actually partnering with Breck Lutheran in Breckenridge to get together. And at the ripe old age of 60, this will be my first youth gathering, either as a participant or a leader. So I will call on Mark.
Hi, everybody. Pastor Mark and Destiny here, our congregational coordinator. We serve Faith Lutheran in Bagley, but really the 7 churches in our Bagley area are going to be coming together as a group. So Good Shepherd, Clearwater Lutheran, Bethel, Zion, Solway Lutheran, we're combining to come together. For me, this is my 4th or 5th gathering. So looking forward to it. And
I went as a youth in high school. Very great time. So, yeah.
And we'll call on Brett.
Hi, I'm Brett Carter. I'm at Calvary Lutheran Church in Bemidji. I'm the Director of Faith Formation. I've been to, despite not having been to a youth gathering since 2009, I've been to at least five youth gatherings prior to that. So I love the youth gathering, and what I really is my biggest takeaway always, 2 things: the large group all taking communion at once. That's really amazing. And back in the 30,000 people in one room days, the fact that a speaker could get all those people to be quiet at the same time by being an motivational and inspirational speaker, it was just amazing. I have to call on someone, so I'll call on Yvonne.
I'm Yvonne Steindl. I'm a deacon, and I serve at Cormorant Lutheran Church in Lake Park. This is my 11th or 12th youth gathering, which just is about my age, nothing else. But I'm a big fan of National Youth Gatherings. I think everyone should go at least once in their lifetime. I call on Al. No.
Al, you need to unmute yourself, Pastor Al. Diana, you want to jump in while Pastor Al figures out his technical difficulties?
Sure. I'm Diana. I'm the youth director at Lutheran Church of the Good Shepherd in Moorhead. This will be my 2nd gathering. This is my daughter Parker, by the way. She's making a lot of noise today. It'll be my 2nd youth gathering. I went to Houston in 2018 with a different congregation, and it was awesome. Dare I say the pre-gathering was almost better than the actual gathering, just because it was awesome to see my kids make so many bonds with all of the students in the synod, and just bond with each other. So I'm excited to see what relationships form this time. Good Shepherd doesn't really have a history of going to the gathering, so it'll be fun to bring a batch of kids and have them experience all the new things.
Thank you, Pastor Al.
Yes, I was on my phone and I have no idea how to unmute, but now I'm on my laptop. Things are good again. And I came late, so I missed the question, but I think I figured it out. Well, who I am, Wild Rice Parish, 4 churches. We have interest from kids from 3 of them currently. How many I've been to? Was that the other question? Probably about 4 or 5 now. And the parish has probably been to the same, one without me. My wife was it was all girls. My wife was the adult at that time, but good history there. I've definitely enjoyed it each time. What was the other question? I didn't catch it.
No, that's it for right now.
It's good. All right.
Yeah.
And again, I don't know who to pass it on to.
That's all right.
Whoever hasn't spoken.
Yeah. Pastor Rachel.
Yeah, my camera is off, but I am here. I'm just on the run and eating lunch, and no one wants to see that. I'm Pastor Rachel Johnson. I'm the pastor at the Williams Roosevelt Lutheran Parish, way up north here. I've never been to a youth gathering before, and I was really excited to take our kids to the one in Minneapolis, and I'm just as excited to take our kids to the one that hopefully will actually happen in New Orleans. So, none of our kids have ever gone before. I don't think our parish has any history of going. And so this is very brand new for all of us. And at least based on the Synod road trip, we're the only church in our conference that's sending kids. So hopefully we offered for other people from other churches to send their kids with us if they just don't have a critical number to do it. Yeah, we're excited though.
Very cool. So, yeah. Typically, my brain just floated away from me. Halleck normally had people going, but maybe they aren't this time. And Deacon Susie, are you there? I can introduce Deacon Susie for her. Deacon Susie is at Trinity in Moorhead, and she has been to several gatherings. She's the youth and adult faith formation person at Trinity in Detroit Lakes. So there's that. I'm gonna share my screen now. And we're going to go through a slideshow. So, I am very excited. And a few things new about this cycle is that there is a young adult gathering during the youth gathering as well. And I will be sharing a little bit more about that. I have a slide for that, as well as Mile and the table. The table used to formerly known as Dale. So we already did introductions. And so here is the promo video for the gathering. Testing 1, 2, 3. Here I go. Sorry about that sound. It was just kind of background music. You didn't miss anything. And so we will.
Chris, you could have sung to us.
You don't need that today. Oh wait, I didn't want to do that. All right. There we go. So the goals have been a little expanded for the overall gathering. It used to be faith formation for teens was like the short synopsis of the ELCA youth gathering. But they've broke it down a little bit more, and the ministry goals, which I as someone who is in like background is in Christian education, goals and objectives are something that I care a lot about. And when people ask like the why of the gathering, it's, you know, it's fun, it's all those things, but having these concrete things to share is affirmed and challenged in their faith, experience new perspectives, ponder their vocation, bond with their congregational group, and learn more about the ELCA and our partners. So the theme is created to be, and coming from Psalm 139, I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works that I know very well. Oh, I was going to snag, the theme team used this book, The Innovative Church by Scott Kermode, as their basis for coming up with the theme and kind of the questions they ask. I haven't read it yet. It's on my to read pile, which it keeps getting larger. It gets larger more quickly than I can read. But this is kind of the book that they use for this cycle. And I look forward to reading it. And so if you're interested, it's hard with my blurred background. But The Innovative Church is their book. And then I'm going to try to play this video. I will put the name, the Innovative Church by Scott is the author. And we will see. Send me a chat if this doesn't work. I'm gonna mess with the see if this works this time. This is more about the theme.
I praise you.
I praise you. I will praise you, for I'm fearfully.
For I am fearfully and wonderfully made.
For I am fearfully and wonderfully made.
We're excited to be centered around the theme of Created to Be for the 2024 ELCA Youth Gathering, Multicultural Youth Leadership Event, or MILE, the table, and the brand new Young Adult Gathering, all in New Orleans.
Since the last time the ELCA has come together for a gathering, our young people have experienced major life events.
Still today, we are experiencing an ongoing public health crisis mixed with an economic crisis and a political crisis. However, we can rest assured that we are created to be in relationship with one another.
In our time together in New Orleans, we're going to explore the daily themes of created to be brave, to show up with an open mind and heart, and be willing to be challenged.
Created to be authentic, to bring our whole selves, and to know that we are loved by our Creator.
Created to be free, to be transformed by the gospel.
Created to be disruptive, to work for justice for all of our citizens.
And created to be disciples, to be sent out into the world, to love our neighbors like we are loved by God.
The theme Created to Be encompasses many of the beautiful and vibrant pieces of New Orleans.
As our host city, New Orleans has always been its true ought to do so. Created to be highlights the arts, the music, and the soul of the city.
Throughout the city, you'll be able to hear musicians playing their hearts out and inspiring jazz, blues, rock, and hip hop. From the French Quarter to uptown to downtown, you'll find delicious food created by incredible chefs ready for your taste buds. New Orleans was built to host and be a city for all of God's children to come together.
Throughout the week at the gathering, we'll dive deeper into topics that are upfront and present in the lives of our young people today. From mental health to anti-racism conversations, we hope to foster relationships and be sanctuary for one another.
We know that we are simultaneously both saint and sinner and need forgiveness when we aren't or can't be brave, authentic, free, disruptive disciples. To incorporate our pre-events, Mile and the Table, a gathering for youth living with a wide range of disabilities, more fully in the overall gathering experience, we are excited to share the theme throughout all of these ministries. We are equally excited for the director of Mile and the Table to share their dreams of our time together in New Orleans.
When the Spirit empowers, things begin to happen. The soul is very much a part of the body, and the Spirit awakens our soul and gives us life. As the body of Christ, our soul is not fully complete unless the rest of the body is also in it. At the 2024 Multicultural Youth Leadership Event, we will explore how we are created to be transformed. Transformation happens through a Spirit-inspired community. The very nature of God is community, where two or more are gathered. Our soul is the breath that gives life, and every part of us is important to the community. I am because we are. No matter who you are or where you come from, we can empower one another without judgment, knowing that we are all created to be transformed. Our ethnic cultures are rich in community and kinship. The abundance of the community we strive to model at Mile is the foundation of our ethnic communities. We inspire to bring liberating relationships characterized by equality, difference, mutuality, communion, and oneness. A community that will be inclusive and accountable to all.
In the beginning, God created and called it good. But God never stopped creating. And what God makes is still good. In 2024, the table will gather around the theme, created to be fully you. Now I know what you're thinking. We spelled holy wrong. And, well, yes, we did. Because we know that to say that God creates us just as we are raises a few more questions for people who live with a wide variety of disabilities. Because sometimes it means limits that others don't have, or complicated medical issues, or perceptions that others place on us that don't seem loving or just. At the table, we know that everyone is created in the love of God and called to live wholly as they are, fully into their story, with incredible gifts and questions, joys, sorrows, struggles, and doubts, living fully into their story that's being co-written with God. Holy you, claimed and made holy in the grace of Jesus, created to be holy you.
Friends, if you or your congregation has never been to a gathering before, let 2024 be the year you join us. The Spirit is up to something good when our young people come together. If the gathering is already a part of your congregation's culture, we look forward to welcoming you to New Orleans and continuing this rich tradition with you. Peace.
I pray.
There. So we have our daily themes: brave, authentic, free, disruptive, and disciples. The ELCA Youth Gathering has 3 full days are the program days, authentic, free, and disruptive. The first day, will begin with mass gathering and be brave, and disciples is the last day. The two pre-events, I am very excited about, and I would love for people from our synod to go. We don't have a history of people from our synod attending the two pre-events. So Mile. Mile is a pre-event, and I'm gonna just read from here so that I don't misread. So who can attend Mile? This event is open to youth of color whose primary language is other than English, or whose primary language is other than English. Attendees must be in 8th to 12th grade at registration this fall. A congregation group may attend Mile if at least half the group are people of color or whose primary language is other than English. If that is not the case, eligible attendees are encouraged to attend with an adult leader and join their congregational group at the beginning of the gathering. So, Mile is a wonderful experience. And here we already saw Kelly Sherman Conroy speak a little in that theme video, but here is a little bit more.
What would it look like if we lean in, listen, and explore our story, embracing exactly who God created us to be and celebrating our fully authentic selves? We invite you to join us for the 2024 Multicultural Youth Leadership Event, a spirit-inspired celebration of community where you are invited to be with other storytellers who seek to inspire, empower, and listen to each other's stories. Mile is the largest gathering of people of color in the ELCA, and we invite you to experience a spirit-led event in New Orleans. Will you join us?
There will be free Mile registration.
What would it look like if we lean in?
Kelly. Free registration for the first 1,000 registrants per Mile. And after that, if more than 1,000 people attend Mile, it's only $190 for the event. And it includes housing and food for the pre-event. And so, yeah, if there are people who might be interested, maybe not your total group, I would love to connect. They're expected to, if a smaller group goes to Mile, they're expected to connect with their congregational group after Mile, and get to experience the gathering as a whole. And then Table. Table is so neat. I was a property manager at the youth gathering in Houston. So I worked for the Synod days, and I had to go down early and help get ready for the gathering. and the hotel we were at housed the table event. And we got to experience some of what they did and said, and the pool party they had and all of that. And so one thing I learned was that table is for, it says it's a free event for youth living with a wide range of disabilities. But to break that down a little bit more, it was, they say for the chronically ill, physical disabilities, and those who are neurodivergent. So that was helpful for me to hear that breakdown, that chronically ill, physical, and neurodivergent. So here's a little bit more about this table. Oh, apologies, there we go.
Welcome to the table. There's a spot that belongs to you. The table is a unique gathering, intentional about welcoming youth who live with a wide range of physical, cognitive, and emotional disabilities, so that they might grow as wise, faithful, and courageous witnesses. Our hope is that you would experience how you were created in the image of God to be wholly you. There's a spot that belongs to you at the table where Jesus is our host.
And now the young adult gathering. So, the young adult gathering. We have, for the first time ever, this young adult gathering option that will be happening at the same time as the youth gathering. They have their own planning team. And because so many youth, well, young adults have been asking and been wanting to go to the youth gathering for many, many cycles. But especially now, since so many youth missed out on going to a youth gathering because of the last cycle, they are making it happen. And so the young adult gathering is for those aged 18 to 35. And in my learnings as the champion, I was told that a lot of the programming is going to be geared towards 18 to 25-year-olds. It is for 18 to 35, but when they're planning like the Bible studies and things like that for the young adults, it's geared towards 18 to 25-year-olds. Now, that's a wide age range. That can be like a lawyer and a freshman in college, right? That can be someone with a family. They are going to have childcare, even. And so they are really figuring this out together. They are going to be at their own hotel. They will have their own small groups. They will have their own activities. They will be invited to attend the mass gatherings. If they have young ones that they're bringing to the gathering, they are, the young ones will not be allowed into the mass gathering. So that will be part of what the child care is for. And so it's at the same time. Now, if you have young people from your churches that want to go, they may travel with you, but they won't be with you during the gathering unless you want to meet up with them during the mass gathering. So they will need to register on their own. It's like registering for camp or something. that each young adult needs to register on their own. They don't register for like with your church group, like for the young adult, for the youth gathering itself. They need to have their own because there will be background checks and information sent directly to them. So this is happening during the youth gathering. They can travel with you, but they won't be with you at the gathering. So yeah, it's kind of a new and exciting thing. So yeah. Now back to the ELCA youth gathering. Who can attend the gathering? Youth that are going into 8th to 12th grade at the time of registration. Registration opens next month. And adult leaders must be at least 21 by the time of the gathering. You can make up your own rules for your church. When I worked at a church, I didn't think that those entering 8th grade were quite mature enough to be away from home for that long. And or the parents weren't quite ready to have their kids gone for that long. So I just had 9th to 12th graders, but you know your people way better than I know them. And so you can do what works best for you and your context. So that is who can attend the youth gathering. Now the programming. So we have some different experiences. So we have 3 full days of the gathering. We have a synod day, an accompaniment day, and an interactive learning day. Interactive learning day, if you've been to a gathering before, it will look fairly similar. It will be at the convention center. For those of you who haven't been to a gathering before, they fill the convention center with all sorts of things. There's ELCA World Hunger sets up a very interactive booth. They've done Walk for Water there. ELCA Worship had like chasubles and different things and set up a acolyte race. They have high ropes, Habitat for Humanity had places to build walls. Lots of interesting and good things for that. So there will be a day that each synod will be split up. Like, so you'll get a wristband, a colored wristband, and your wristband will tell you which day you'll be doing each of these things. So it kind of helps calm the chaos. So on your interactive learning day, this day is probably the most flexible of all. And there's so much to do in the interaction center. Then there's the accompaniment day, and it formally service learning. And there's 3 things: advocacy, awareness, and action. And the words go back. Advocacy is getting the person in charge of accompaniment at our last meeting said it's getting down to the roots. And awareness is being open and like culture keepers. And then action is like doing the work. And so those are the 3 different ways that there will be accompaniment. And then synod day is very different this time. In the past, synod day was either like an all morning thing or an all afternoon thing, and it was worship and learning together. But now synod day will be about an hour of worship either in the morning or in the afternoon. And then there'll be an opportunity for a synod experience and a scavenger hunt. I haven't spoken with Bishop Bill yet about what the synod experience could be like. So don't hold your breath yet, but we will be working on something. And then each day there'll be a mass gathering in the Superdome and community life. And community life is back to the hotels. If you have been to a gathering before, in the past it was called nightlife and was in the hotel ballrooms. And so a place to go having night open mics or dances or different opportunities at different hotels. So that's kind of a big overview of that. And then we have registration. So priority is it opens September 15th. And then 150 is due at registration. And then we have regular and then again for mile and the table, it is free for the first 1,000 for mile and first 200 for table. And the young adult gathering is 260 and 150 is due at registration. So what is priority? They are making some changes this year to priority. So for priority, if you, and it's first come, first served, it's not everyone who registers in the priority, but if you register on September 15th, the likelihood is higher for you to get what you want. So I'm gonna jump ahead to the hotels. So there's 4 areas of the hotels. There's the convention center is down here. And so the hotels for the convention center are right here. Everything is very walkable in New Orleans. There's nothing further than 2 miles away from anything. So these are the convention center ones. These are the Superdome ones. These are the French Quarter ones. And then these along Canal Street and like right off of Canal Street are considered the downtown ones. All right. So we have Superdome, downtown, French Quarter, and Convention Center. So going back to this priority, we have when you register, you rank your hotel location. And there's pros and cons to all of these. If you choose the downtown ones, you're likely to be at a hotel with nightlife. And you're likely to be on Canal Street. If you're at the convention center, you won't have far to walk on your interaction center day, and you're close to the river. French Quarter will be a lot more like boutique motels and things like that. The Dome is, you don't have to walk as far at night. And then you get to pick hotel price as well, low, high, and medium. And so if you get your registration in early on that priority time, you get to rank your location and your hotel price. You also get to rank your accompaniment team. So again, the advocacy, action, and awareness. So advocacy is getting down to the roots of things. Action is the doing, and awareness is learning more. Getting culture keepers was the term that they used with us. So I asked at the last meeting, what do you need most for the priority registration? And they said, you need spots And you need, sorry. Loud email. And deposits in. So you can fill in, you don't have to know how you're gonna get there. And you can even fill in fake names if you don't know for sure who is all going. But you do need like numbers of people, and you need to send in the money. You can pay by credit card and there's a fee, or you can pay by check using like the routing number and account number. They have a name for it, like check or something like that. So those are the things that you need most. You can go in, I think, by February and add in the transportation and things like that. But the sooner you get your stuff in, the better. If you add people later, and it's a significant amount of people that you add later, you might get bumped, depending on how the housing is going and the accompaniment teams. So, if putting on my hat, if I was taking a group and there were some people like on the edge, I would maybe pad it by a few. And then, like I wouldn't pad it by a lot, but maybe pad it by a few if those priority things are important to you. They might not be important to you, but if those things are important to you. I'm gonna stop sharing for a moment and see if there's any questions. We'll get to registration in a moment and transportation.
I have a question. Price, low, medium, and high, how much would that, I mean, not how much money would that, well, that, I suppose that too. How much is the money gonna vary and what's the difference? Quality of room? I mean, what do we mean by, what?
Yeah, so there is this registration workbook that I'm going to talk about. And in there, it should, the hotel prices, 140 to 150, 151 to 165, 166 to 185. So 10 to $15 like spread between them. So it will be.
And what do you suppose low to high is? The view out the window? Or
And quality of the hotel, right? Like, you know, there's Hiltons and Marriott's and Embassy Suites and
yeah, okay. Yep, okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Some with nicer lobbies and, smell better, and others are, and sometimes those middle ones might have breakfast, right? Or sometimes it's the low ones that have breakfast. Like, I like the Holiday Inn Express because they have pancakes. They have a pancake machine, and that's not, they don't have that at the Hilton or the Marriott or the Sheridan. And so, you kind of have to weigh your options there for that. But yeah, so, and when you do register, you can pick the thing that's most important to you in your priority too. So if cost is most important to you, you can rank like cost is more important than location, or location is more important than cost. Because you're not like guaranteed, right? You're requesting. If you get it in on the 15th, the likelihood of you getting it is very high. But if you yeah. And also for housing, the gathering doesn't pick the rooms. And so you, like your group, will need to figure out how to do your own rooms. and what works best with how your church does youth and adults and how all of that works. That's an important thing to consider. And they say to not plan on, if you put in to get doubles, like the doubles, don't plan on getting doubles for every room that you want. So plan on putting 3 people in a room. That just helps with budgeting and helps with planning. And then by the end of January, if you do that priority registration, you'll have your hotel assignment and what kind of beds. Or you'll have your hotel assignment for sure. I don't remember if you'll have your beds, but you'll have everything by the end of April. So yeah, there's a lot of different things with this priority that have never been a thing before. So it's kind of exciting, but it's kind of like, what's going to be most important to me and my people, right? So that's kind of new stuff. Yeah, other questions before we dig into some more stuff? I feel really bad for the people who've never been to a gathering. I feel like, talk about a fire hydrant.
Chris, I put it in the chat, but if we're bringing a bus, are there like certain hotels that we'll have to stay at to accommodate bus parking? Or I really want a breakfast place.
I will put in the champions like listserv, like the likely, because I know that there's one hotel by the convention center that does have breakfast for sure. But I know it's not like a super high-end one. So I'll find out about that. They're not doing Synod hotels this year. Also, like in the past, there was Synod hotels. So obviously, if you're picking your location and price range, there isn't Synod hotels. To answer your bus question, typically, the transportation team might ask to sublet your bus for the event, and or they will help you find a hotel outside of town that parking your bus wouldn't be an issue. So, yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, having been to a few of these, you don't really see your own bus until you leave.
Correct.
So it's not really our responsibility to find a place for the driver to sleep and park, right?
Well, if like you've gone with Pathways, and so Pathways took care of the bus drivers. So like Pathways got hotels for them out of town, and then they came back to pick you guys up. So like if Diana was doing a bus, she would need to like figure out where to put her bus driver if they weren't getting sublet during the gathering. But the bus driver would need to be open to being sublet too, because not all bus drivers want to work the whole time during the gathering too with someone to have a little bit of a break. So that's been the case with the Pathways drivers, that they didn't want to be sublet. Yeah. Yeah. You, Pastor Mark.
So we're thinking about doing a little pre-gathering and going to Gulf Shores or Gulfport Beach or something. Is anybody else planning on doing anything like that, or have you heard any talk of that?
I haven't heard anything yet, Pastor Al.
Mark, we promoted it for ours that we'll be doing something. We haven't got any planning even to have a name of a place. I mean, you have more, we're thinking of something, we're not sure what, so.
Okay. Yeah.
You're ahead of us, Mark.
Gulfport Beach is just an hour and a half further east from New Orleans. So we're thinking about that. Or Gulf Shores, which is another couple of hours further down the East Coast.
So it's swimming in the ocean, right? I mean, it's not an amusement park or anything.
Yeah, it's all swimming in the ocean. Yep. Going that far, you might as well stay a couple more days and have a little fun.
Mhm. All right, well, that is a good segue to my next thing, transportation. How are you getting there and when you should get there? So in previous cycles, Pathways has led a trip, and I know a lot of people have used their transportation. And they aren't doing a trip this cycle. Luther Crest Bible Camp is doing a trip, and Tammy, who was going to share about it, couldn't get the Zoom login. But they have some information on their website, and if you're interested in learning about that. I've heard that some people are gonna be flying in, kind of new this time. The train goes to New Orleans. And I know some people are getting together for buses. So is there anyone, I'm gonna stop sharing this. Is there anyone that wants to share buses? A need for that? We can start some of those conversations now and share some contact information.
Yeah, I would like to be on a bus with somebody, get connected to somebody.
Talk to me, Yvonne. We're trying to get a bus too. I have no idea how many of our kids will be interested in going. We'll see when we have our interest meeting in September. But I organized the one for Luther Crest last time that they went in 2018. I wasn't on it, but I organized that one and went with the synod. So I feel comfortable doing the things. I just need more people to make it more cost efficient. So
Okay,
feel free
well,
to reach out.
yeah, okay.
We're kind of in the same boat. We don't have an exact number yet. Every time I've done it before, it's the way to go. It is. Busing's the way to go. Financially, and it makes the time together, meeting kids, meet new kids, etc.
Right.
It's the way to go. But it also, a full bus is obviously more cost effective. So I'm open. That's my part. I'm open, like I think Diane said she was open as well.
I think we're planning to bus. I am really hoping I don't have to plan that, because I think that would be way kind of over my skill set. So Diana, are you in Moorhead?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so we're quite close to you. So maybe I'll shoot you an email after this, and we can, if as things start to plan, I know we'll be taking some kids. I don't know how many, but if you're looking to fill a bus, we are looking for a bus to fill.
We're kind of in the discussion stage of whether to bus. We've looked at Luther Crest, also exploring flights. Typically, in my past experience, when we've flown to like YouthWorks and stuff like that, most of the airlines, the group fare is 10 people. But what's nice about that is you have to pay for it up front, but then you don't have to provide the names. So you provide in manifest later on. So we're kind of exploring both options. My understanding, most of the folks in our Conference 7 area that I'm aware of, that I've been talking to, I think many of them are planning on flying. But if there's other opportunities with, because we're probably right now, we're looking at probably 10 to 12 kids along with adult chaperones. The other thing is we need to have conversations with chaperones because of the additional time commitment. You know, if they've got work schedules and stuff like that, flying is more efficient. So we're kind of working through those things too.
Yeah. Hey Susie, what are you
Hey.
planning on doing?
You know what? We're really kind of up in the air. We are exploring. We've always taken a bus and I have loved that. But again, just not knowing numbers and knowing student schedules and availability with everything else. Everything's in the hopper right now. So yeah, so I'm interested in others that maybe would be looking at a bus option and have planned those and would love to kind of help with that. But also we're still kind of looking at flights too. So lots of unknowns.
I have kind of a question for the group, maybe related, maybe unrelated, but I heard Mark say something about planning this time at the beach for afterwards. The times we've always done the extra activity, either Seven Flags, whatever it's called, Six Flags, or something beforehand, because people were exhausted at the end and just wanted to get home. So I'm curious on opinions on people that have gone before. If you're doing an extra thing, do you do it on the way down or on the way back? Any opinions?
I always vote for doing it beforehand because people are exhausted. Not only the adults, but the kids are exhausted. And by that time, they just want to get home. So I always advocate for beforehand.
I agree. I would hope to do it beforehand as well, for the same reasons.
Same here. I took a group of kids down to Mexico to do mission work, and we were going to stop at Six Flags in Texas. And we'd been in 100-degree heat for a week doing mission projects, and all the kids said, let's just go home. So we skipped the amusement park completely.
It's nice to have like one thing to do on the way home, whether it's like a baseball game or like something to break up the trip, but not like a big thing. And even then, it's probably not necessary. For those considering flying, as someone who flew in and out of Houston, I just had to take care of myself. Flying out of Houston the day the gathering ended, and I wouldn't wish that on anyone, let alone like taking care of other people and especially other people's young people. So my champion tip of the day is that if you are flying, stay at least 1 or 2 days after in New Orleans. Like go on a swamp tour, go to the aquarium, do something. Don't fly out the day the gathering ends, because it was pretty miserable and I was glad that I just had to take care of myself at the airport that day. Yeah, Brett, what are you thinking about for traveling?
Well, we'll definitely take a bus. I have a couple of contacts that I'm working with that I might be working with, and I love the bus. I love the whole way of driving that way. It's just so darn far. That's what makes it hard to do something at the end. Because I'm in agreement, it's great to come back. If I could fly on the way back, I'd be happy to, because you just want to get back as soon as possible because it's just been a long week. But I would agree with what you said about flying. Having been had the group completely broken up because of a broken plane, it was a nightmare to try to regroup. And they were trying to send kids with no chaperones, and half of us stayed an extra night. And you just have to prepare differently if you're going to fly. It's not a bad way to do it, but it's a different set of preparation, and you kind of have to plan more for what are you going to do if this happens. I have a friend whose group got stuck in Amsterdam, and I can't imagine dealing with that with a group of 45 kids. So it's just a different kind of planning when you fly, and people do it and they do it successfully, and it's fine. But I like the bus option. I like the time on the way down, and especially to get to know everybody really well.
Yeah, and another pro tip, if you do fly, make sure that you do a lot of group bonding stuff beforehand, because you'll miss out on that group bonding on the bus on the way down. So yeah, So those are a couple of travel things. If you want, for those who are wanting to bus, if you want to put your email addresses in the chat, even if it's something that you are not sure yet, and I will compile them, and I'm doing another meeting at 7, and I will compile all of them, and I can start a mass email, and we can do that. So yeah, so we are better together. Amen. So travel is, can be a hard thing, especially if you have some anxious travelers, right? I'm not an anxious traveler, but sometimes like I got stuck at the Houston airport for a while, and they said I couldn't get to Fargo for 3 days, and I'm like, let's figure something else out. It's time. Can you get me to Minneapolis? Like, so yeah. All right, back to the screen. Only a little bit more left. Adult leaders. All right, people, listen to me. Just because an adult says that they want to go does not mean you have to say that they can't. Adult leaders can make or break the trip for you all. There are, like, this isn't the ELCA adult leader youth gathering, the adult leader gathering. It's the ELCA youth gathering. You don't need a 1-to-1 ratio. This isn't a vacation for the adult leaders. There's things that they're gonna need to do. And there's qualities that they need. And I've led trips with great adult leaders, and I've led trips with adult leaders that I wanted to send home. And the trip would have been better without them. And so there are different ways on how to pick and who to pick. And again, just because someone says that they want to go doesn't mean you have to say yes. And some ways you can pick people is you can have the youth get together and that are going and ask them who they want to go. You can do an application for the adult leaders. There are in the G News that we're going to talk about in a little bit, there is so much great information on adult leaders. And the ELCA Youth Gathering and myself doesn't use the term chaperone, uses the term adult leaders. So the chaperone stands against the gym wall at a dance, making sure that, no one, gets too aggressive to their dance partner on the dance floor. But an adult leader is there and is engaged. They need to be able to walk alongside. They need to be a non-anxious presence. They need to be able to survive without a daily Starbucks. They need to be okay without drinking alcohol. They need to be okay. There's just a lot of things. And so I'll share a little bit, but there's a whole lesson on adult leaders. And before you pick your adult leaders, I want you to go through it because it is so so important. Because, yeah. It will make or break the trip for you, and you want people, you get it, you want people with different skill sets than you. And never go on the youth gathering just you, even if you only have a couple kids. Always have at least 2 adults. The preferred ratio, I believe, is 5 youth to 1 adult, unless like there's only 5 and then there's, you know, again, only 2, you know. So did I, oh, I didn't make a thing for that. Ah. All right, so registrations, there is this registration workbook. It is pretty fantastic and it's everything you need for registration. So the ELCA website is not great. Most of you who have been to the website, you would know. So you go to the elca.org website. On the top, you go to the, you know what? I'm going to do a new search. And I'm just going to show you how to get there. Here. So ELCA Youth Gathering, ELCA.org Youth Gathering. And then, so this is the page. There's a lot of things on here. Attend, congregation. And then here's the registration workbook and you download it. So attend and congregation. They redid this website and I have a hard time finding some things, so I wanted to make sure I showed you where that stuff is. Okay, so I see a question from Diana about bringing a bus, and this was something that I thought I made a slide for, but I didn't. There's 2 things that there's 2 ways to go to the gathering with other people. There is traveling together, which if you are, oh no, I read your question wrong. But if you're traveling together, there is you'll mark that on your registration if you're traveling with people, but you don't need to fill that out for the priority. If you are going to the gathering with another church, then you need to pick one church to be your main church. And you need one trip leader to be the main point person. And that church will be the fiscal agent. So like for Pastor Mark and the Headwaters people, and for Pastor Kate, who, if you have people from, oh my gosh, my brain just floated away. Not Salem.
Listening,
sorry. There will be one church as the main church, and they will be the fiscal agent for all. Then you list the other churches with their ID numbers on the registration. If you just travel, then you don't need to worry about like housing. But if you are going as a group and doing housing with another church and plan on doing everything, then you need to like register together. Does that make sense? Right? There's nothing, you don't get printed on anything. Like to use Kate, because now it's, I know it's listening. Nothing is gonna say Salem Lutheran Church, and Joe who goes to Lisney will have to wear something that says just Salem. Like there's nothing church specific. They wouldn't know that, right? And so like for Pastor Al or Pastor Mark, who they have multiple churches going, nothing for the gathering itself is church. Yeah. You just need to pick one church to be the main church, to be the fiscal agent, and to have as the main congregational ID number. If you don't know your congregational ID numbers, I can get that for you. I have access to the database. So
Chris, you are the database.
I have access to it. I don't remember things. Don't ask me numbers. I'm not a number person. But so there's that difference. If you travel with someone but don't plan on rooming, like you don't have to worry about like at the gathering. But then if you're going with other churches and planning on being together the whole time. So there's pros and cons of both. Does that make sense? Okay. Clear as mud. At least semi-clear as mud. All right, I think I only have, oh, I have 2 more quick slides and then I'll be done barking at you. So registration, the earlier the better. Extravaganza. The extravaganza is in January in New Orleans, the 18th to the 21st. There's an intensive care class on the youth gathering. And if you go and go to that intensive care class, you'll get to tour all the places of the youth gathering. If you do the priority registration, you'll have your hotel spot given to you so that you can go check out your hotel. You can like scope out places for your group to eat. I think that it is a really great event, especially the youth gathering year. And if finances are hard for continuing ed, I strongly suggest working that into your gathering budget overall, especially those of you who have not been to a gathering before. It's really, there's something about being there and checking out the places and learning more about it. And if you've never been to New Orleans, I love New Orleans, and it's so different and neat. So yeah, I strongly suggest going. If you have any questions about the extravaganza, talk to me. I'm on the E-team, but that's not why I'm suggesting you go. I just think it's super helpful, especially on a gathering here, to attend the Children, Youth, and Family Network extravaganza. And then we have the G-Learn. There is a new way to take courses. And I've gone through all the ones that are available right now. I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to show you on the website again on where to go. Okay. Here. So under resources, I clicked on resources. We have the getting ready materials. which I printed off. These are great resources. If you are bringing people to the gathering, it's 10 free lessons that will get your group ready for the gathering. You can do it as a retreat. You can do it as youth group. You can do it as confirmation. There's a lot of ways to use it. I've seen groups who use the getting ready materials and groups who didn't. And the groups who used it got a lot more out of the gathering. So it's good and free, and so use it. Then we have the G-Learn. So this is really good. It is an online course on getting you ready. And the recruiting adult leaders I was speaking of, this is amazing. So you're like just different. Mine looks different than this because I'm a champion. So, getting started. So it wants me, but it's really, really good. And it's worth your time, especially that adult leader one, if you are having any things. And so I'm gonna stop talking for a second and or longer, and I'm going to copy all of your emails and see if you guys have any questions.
I have one again. That handbook you showed us how to find it and you had a paper copy. Is that where it explains a little bit more about this ranking? Because I need to get that in my brain a little bit better. The ranking of, it's all in there?
Yep, the registration
Okay.
workshop. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Is that where we can also get access to the videos you showed?
The videos are in those G-Learn things,
Oh, they're
or
in, no, the promo videos.
yeah, if you go, they're in those G-Learn classes, but if you also go to YouTube and do like ELCA youth gathering, you can find them all there.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Yay for YouTube, right? They want you to like find them on the links and stuff like that, but they're there. And I saw how expensive the buses are. Yuck.
I wasn't here at the very beginning. I know you're recording this. Are you gonna have it available? Like by email or?
Not to you, Pastor.
Yeah, I don't need it.
No, I will have it available widely. I'll put it like in the Northern Lakes for tomorrow.
Okay.
Both of them. Yep. Yeah. And yeah, if you have people or if you are interested in learning more about Mile or the table, let me know, because I really want to make this happen for people on our synod. Pastor Mark sent me a couple of names and I copied and pasted that. If we can get maybe a group of people, because I know they're free events, so it might be kind of hard to get people down with your group. Maybe there's a way to share that or something. So I put my email in. I know most of you probably have my email address, but just in case, I put that in there, and yep, I can make the slideshow available as well. And like editable, so you can make it work for you. One thing, a couple of no meals this time will be provided. In the past accompaniment day, there was lunch provided, but no meals this time will be provided. But a shirt will still be provided for accompaniment day. So yeah.
Are we gonna do a Synod shirt, Chris?
If people want a Synod shirt, I'd be happy to do one. Okay.
I want
That-
one.
And that will be optional. So yeah, I will do a Synod shirt.
That reminded me of something from my experience in the past. Our group did their own shirts, and not just to be different, but or to be the same. Well, it was to be the same, because when you're walking in these huge crowds, the color of the shirt is very important to keep your group together. So it's important. It's kind of important, not just for camaraderie, but to have the same shirt. It's kind of a safety thing too.
Chris, is the convention center this year limiting, like, I remember in Houston, they made a big deal about bag sizes and not letting inflatables in for like being able, do you know what I'm talking about with like not being able to bring those in because of being a distraction or a liability, but it's what people use to keep their group with them?
Yeah,
Are there limitations this year, do you know?
good question. I will ask. And I will get that out.
Sweet, thank you.
Yeah, there hasn't been much from the safety security team about stuff like that yet.
Is the gathering shirt, the accompaniment day shirt? Is that what that is?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Like the service day, typically it's been orange.
Okay.
Old Lutheran does have some shirts now. Here is, and they have like water bottles and stuff. I ordered myself a shirt. Did I order? I felt like I ordered two things. Maybe I ordered that too. Just to wear so people can get used to seeing it, right? So I can wear it to Synod events and things so people can notice. So if you want things like that, and then they are also the brand people for the gathering, and so they have all of the things to make your gathering shirts. But if you want to make your own, you can go back to this resources page and branding materials. You can get all the logos and things here and download them. And that will have the logos and the colors and things like that for if you wanted to make your own shirts. So, yeah. All right. I've talked at you for a while. Any other questions? All right, let's pray because I didn't pray to start. So let's pray now. Dear God, thank you for today, for the day you have made. Help us rejoice and be glad in it. Thank you for this group of adults who care enough about young people to be willing to share their time with them to help them see you in their lives and to learn more about you and their vocation in church and how faith is part of their lives. We pray for all young people as they get ready for the school year. We pray for safety and for health. We pray for patience and strength for all the adult leaders who are preparing to attend this gathering. We pray for open and accepting hearts and minds of young people and parents to saying yes to this gathering. We pray for open hearts and minds and wallets of congregation members to help make this gathering a possibility for our young people. And we just thank you for most of all for sending your son because you love us so. Thank you for this time together and bless the rest of today and all of our days to come. In your name we pray. Amen. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thanks for putting up with me. And I'll get an email out and I'll get the slideshow out after tonight's meeting.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, bye.
Thanks, Chris, for all your good work.
Thank you.